The sky over Aravel was dark with 1,000 small lights. They were not stars. They moved in slow, precise lines. People on the ground looked up and felt a cold shape in their chests. The world had always been calm. It had soft rivers and low hills. The people of Aravel had built their lives on the promise that the stars were far and safe. Counselor Lyron stood at the window of the observation hall. She watched the lights cross the sky and thought of the old stories. The stories said there were beings who could live on dead worlds, beings that could walk through fire and cold with no harm. The elders had told those stories as warnings. They had taught children to pray that those beings would never come to Aravel. The sight was not like a story. The fleet moved with a strange, quiet order. It did not make noise like other ships. The sky around each light bent a little, as if the air could not hold itself. The observation hall filled with technicians and scholars. They read the first data on their screens. The numbers were wrong. Radiation that should have burned through their instruments was soft as a breeze. Temperatures that would freeze steel did not touch the outer hulls of the ships. "This should not be possible," said Draws, the lead sensor officer. He was young and he rubbed his hands as if he tried to warm them, though there was no cold in the room. Lyron listened. She had been a leader for many years. She had seen small wars and long seasons of drought. She had not seen a sky filled by other minds, yet she kept her face calm. If she let fear spread, people might panic. The fleet moved slowly to the edge of Aravel's orbit. The ships formed a loose circle above the planet. They did not hide. They did not make violent moves. Their lights were steady. The pattern made the scientists think of slow breathing more than threat. A message arrived. It was short and polite in form, but its coding was curious. The language pattern did not match any archive sequence. The message used a human common block. The translation that popped on the screen was clear. It said, "We come in peace. We request permission to open a hall of talk." The hall filled with whispers. The elders had taught them to be careful with messages from the dark. The word peace held its own weight. Peace messages had sometimes been traps in the long ages. The Vorsk had once used polite words and left ruins. Lyron set her jaw and called for a small council. Present were scholars, the head of defense, Jerk, and a few elders who had guided Aravel through harsh times. They worked quickly. They moved with the careful pace of those who had to hold decisions in their hands. "They asked to speak," said Lyron. "We must answer, but we will not let our defenses fall. We open the channel and keep the shields ready." Jerk nodded and moved to the console. "We will be careful. If their signal is a trick, we will see it at once. If not, we have a chance to learn." The council agreed. They let a small transmission out to the fleet. The sky held its breath. When the reply came, the voice was plain and direct. It spoke in short sentences, easy and steady. "We are the Deathworlder fleet. We are called the Hawthorne. Captain Daniel Brooks speaks for us. We mean no harm. We wish to meet with your leaders." Even the elders shifted in their chairs. Deathworlders. The word tasted like ash in their mouths. Old maps and tales had used that name for beings from harsh places. Those beings had built strong bones against weather and starvation. They had been feared because of what they could survive. Draws watched the screen. The speech patterns are human common, but the form is odd. The signal is stable. It is not a Vorsk lie. Lyron felt a strange mix of dread and curiosity. She remembered the prayers the mothers said when their children were born. They asked that the world stay quiet and safe. The arrival of the Hawthorne meant those prayers had not been enough. The meeting was set. The fleet opened a small window in the sky like a glass door. A single ship moved closer and lowered a bright field that made the sensor beam shine like a bead of water. The craft's hull had hard angles and soft plates. It did not look like the heavy warships of the past. It looked as if it had been built by hands used to rough weather and quick repairs. A small shuttle slipped out and moved toward the landing field. On the ground, the people gathered. They wore simple clothes. Many carried tools in small packs. Others held weapons that looked more like work tools than arms. They were not soldiers in the way the old stories described. They were people who had learned to fix things that broke. When they stepped into the light of Aravel, the first human looked small and ordinary. He had a short coat and a plain cap. His face was open and calm. He did not wear heavy armor or a crown. He walked with a steady step. He spoke first. "I am Daniel Brooks. I am happy to be here. We do not come to take, we come to see, to help if we can, and to learn. Lion saw no weapons on his belt. She saw a small device that hummed faintly in his hand. The elders watched closely, their hands folded. A woman stepped forward beside him. Her name was Olivia Grant. She had eyes that moved quickly as if measuring everything. She spoke for their group. We know the stories, we know you may fear us. We have crossed dangerous systems to reach you. We bring simple words, we want to be friends. The council could see the difference between story and sight. These humans did not move like the monsters in the old tapes. They smiled sometimes. They looked tired from a long trip but not cruel. Mason Carter, the human engineer, knelt and touched the soil. He laughed softly. "Nice dirt, good for gardens," he said. His words were warm and small, and some in the crowd relaxed. Still, not all felt safe. An elder named Var raised his voice. "Your kind are called Deathworlders. Old records say you shape yourselves to hard worlds. You can cut through storms and survive poisons. What brings you here? Why now?" Daniel's smile did not leave him. "We go where people need help and where the stars call us. Our worlds teach us to respect life. We do not want war with you. We want to know your problems." Lion weighed his words. She had heard promises like this before, but they had often broken. The human tone felt honest, and yet the fear of their power watched like a shadow. Lion made a choice. She allowed them to stay for a short time. She set rules. They could not move beyond the public fields. They could not change any of Aravel's systems. They could help where invited. The humans agreed without complaint. They set up a small camp near the landing field. They moved with care. They took apart a broken water pump that had failed in a nearby village. Mason worked with a local mechanic named Wren. They spoke in simple words and used tools that fit in the palm. In an hour, the pump ran clean and fast. Children splashed in water and laughed. News moved through the towns. Some said the humans were healers, brave like the songs. Others said the humans were a threat that could change the balance of power. The young wanted to know more. The old watched for signs. Olivia and Lion walked through a market. People sold woven cloth and small jars of sugar. The humans paused to buy bread. They tasted the fruit in a stall and nodded with pleasure. The market had always felt safe. Now it had a new pulse. "They fix things that our best minds have given up on," said Draws. "They carry equipment I cannot fully read. It is like their tools know how to think." Mason sat with a small group and showed them a metal plate that could bend and seal itself. "We use material like this to make repairs fast," he said. "It saves lives when storms break things." The sight of the humans working with the people eased some fear. The humans talked to the farmers and to the merchants. They asked about crops and water, about market days and festivals. They listened. But in the depth of the night, concerns returned. A Vorsk messenger had been spotted near one of the small moons 3 nights earlier. The Vorsk were a swarm that had once attacked border worlds. They were not like the humans. They did not speak words. They sent waves of ships that ate hulls and left empty space. Lion felt the weight of the choice she had made. She thought of the prayers mothers had once said. She felt the old fear like a cold cloak. The humans had done good by the pump. They had also arrived with a power that old fires had whispered about. On the second day, an alarm sounded. Scouts in the outer ring saw a small grouping of Vorsk craft moving fast. They moved in the wrong direction, toward Aravel's outer farms. The farms were thinly held. The conquered fleet was hours away. The farmers could not wait. Lion called the council to the hall. The humans were asked to join. Daniel and Olivia came in with clean faces. They had heard the alarm and stood ready. "We have small ships of Vorsk moving toward the farms," said Jerk. "They will arrive before help can." Daniel listened and did not show surprise. He looked at Maya, a young officer at his side. "We can intercept them," he said. "Our small crafts can reach the farms quickly. We can push them back." Lion's heart beat faster. To accept their help meant opening the gates to a might that could not be easily closed. To refuse their help could mean the loss of lives in the farms that provided food for the cities. Olivia stepped forward. "If you ask us to hold back, we will do so, but we are not here to watch you die. We will help if you want." The hall fell quiet. The farmers' names filled the room like a murmur. Lion thought of the children who ran in the stream near those farms. She made the hard decision. "You will help," she said, But only under our command. You will not take more than needed. Our people will record every action. You will not leave without permission." Daniel agreed. "We will follow your lead. We will act only to protect." Within an hour, small human skiffs slid through the low atmosphere and rose to meet the Vorsk. The scene in the sky was quick and bright. The human crafts moved with sudden, sharp turns that made the Vorsk falter. Where the Vorsk expected slow prey, they found sudden resistance. On the ground, the people watched and prayed. The Vorsk ships tried to strike the farms. The human pilots set shields and used devices that made the Vorsk weapons misfire. The fight was short and fierce. The Vorsk, unused to such sudden moves and strange defenses, pulled back. Some small Vorsk craft were damaged and fell into the sea. The farmers cheered. They ran toward the shore to bring in the bodies of the fallen. The humans returned to the landing field, faces quiet and slightly tired. Later that night, Lion visited the human camp. She found Mason sitting by the small fire, sharpening a tool. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "You saved the farms," she said. "You saved lives. We are grateful." Mason set his tool down. "We did what we could. We do not like to see hurt. We live in rough places. You learn to help others when you can." Lion wanted to ask many questions. What were their homes like? Why did they travel so far? How could a people who could survive so much choose kindness? The words did not come easy. Instead, she listened to the soft crackle of the fire. She thought of how the world would change now that their prayers had not been enough. The sky had given them visitors who could protect and who could break. The future would require care and trust, and the seeds of both had just been planted. The sun rose slowly over Aravel, lighting the fields and the hills with warm gold. But the light did little to calm the people. They had seen too much in too little time. The arrival of the humans, the brief and strange battle against the Vorsk, and the quiet strength of the Deathworlder fleet had changed the air of the world. People no longer walked with the same ease. They glanced at the sky as if waiting for something more. Captain Daniel Brooks stood near the landing field, watching the mist rise off the ground. He looked tired but calm. His crew moved quietly around him. They checked equipment, repaired small tools, and talked in low voices. They did not seem proud of the battle. They seemed focused, as if the fight had been just another duty. Olivia Grant joined Daniel. She held a small cup of warm drink and offered one to him. He shook his head and smiled. "You should rest," Olivia said. "Soon," he replied. "I want to understand this place better first. There is something peaceful here. It is rare to find a world that breathes like this." Mason Carter walked up with a datapad. "We have a list of things the farmers need help with," he said. "Many systems in the outer farms are old, some repairs are simple, some will take time." Daniel nodded. "We will help, but remember the rules. We only go where we are invited," Olivia agreed. "We are guests here. A strong guest must walk gently." At the council hall, Lion faced her mourning with a heavy mind. All night she had listened to messages from the outer regions. Many farmers had sent thanks for the humans' help. Some feared the humans even more now. If they could defeat the Vorsk so quickly, what else could they do if they wanted to? The elders debated these questions again and again. The council gathered once more. Jerk, the defense head, looked tense. His armor straps were pulled tight and he tapped one foot as if preparing to move at any moment. "We cannot ignore what happened yesterday," he said. "The humans saved our farms, but their power is clear. Their ships move in ways we cannot understand. Their shields bend our scanners. We must decide how to manage them." Elder Var spoke next. "We should learn from them before we judge them. They showed restraint. They followed our orders. That is not the way of conquerors." Another voice rose from the back, an elder named Sel. "We cannot be certain. They are Deathworlders. They survived worlds that kill most life in seconds. Their bodies are strong. Their tools are strange, and their eyes see too much. I fear what we cannot predict." Lion listened to all of them. She understood their fears. She also understood that Aravel stood in a fragile place. The Vorsk had found them once. They could return. The conquered fleets were far and slow. Without allies, Aravel could fall. After long debate, the council agreed on one thing. They must learn more about the humans. They must understand their hearts, not just their machines. Lion asked Olivia, Daniel, and Mason to attend a meeting. The humans arrived on time, walking with the same open calm they had shown since landing. They sat across from the council at a long table of polished wood. Lion began. We thank you for your help yesterday. You protected our people, but we have questions. We need to understand who you are, why you came, and what you hope to do here." Daniel leaned forward slightly. "You deserve answers. We do not hide our purpose. We travel because we want to know the galaxy, to build peaceful ties, and to help those who need support. Our homeworld is harsh. It taught us to value cooperation. It taught us that any life, is worth protecting." Cell watched Daniel carefully. "Your stories say that humans can survive storms that crush other species, that your bones can resist great pressure, that your minds adapt quickly to danger. How can such a people stay peaceful when they hold such gifts?" Daniel smiled gently. "Because we know what real danger feels like. When you grow up in a place where the world itself tries to kill you, you learn not to create more harm. You learn to build, not destroy." Olivia added, "We also know we cannot control everything. That is why we speak with respect to every world we meet." Mason nodded. "We fix things because we understand how easily things break." Lyron felt their words settle in the room. The humans did not speak like conquerors. They spoke like travelers who had seen too much loss and wanted to prevent more. The council agreed to allow the humans to help repair damaged systems across Aravel, but they would be watched and recorded. Daniel accepted this without complaint. Olivia said it was only fair. Over the next days, the humans worked in many villages. Mason taught local engineers how to reinforce the old water towers. He showed them a light metal that could seal cracks on its own. The villagers watched in wonder as the metal closed like a wound healing. Children followed Olivia whenever she walked into a town. She laughed and told them stories about her travels. She described worlds where lightning struck sideways and skies that changed color when the wind shifted. The children listened with open mouths and bright eyes. Daniel spent most of his time speaking with leaders. He asked about Aravel's food systems, its water supply, its festivals, its harvest seasons. He said that to understand a world, you must understand its heartbeat. Aravel began to warm to them. Markets became lively when the humans arrived. Farmers offered them small gifts, fruit, cloth, carved ornaments. The humans never refused, but they also never took too much. But even as goodwill grew, fear still lingered in some corners. In a quiet tavern one night, two villagers whispered into their cups. "They are kind now," one said, "but what happens when they decide to change the rules?" "We do not know their true strength," the other replied. "If they wanted, could we stop them?" No one had an answer. While the humans worked, the council continued their discussions. Reports from the outer systems came in. More Vorsk movement had been seen. The swarm was exploring the region. If the Vorsk attacked again, Aravel would need allies. Lyron felt the weight of this choice every day. One evening, she walked alone to the lake near the city. Daniel found her there, sitting on a stone. He approached slowly so he would not startle her. "Is something troubling you?" he asked. She looked at the water. "Everything is changing. Your people bring hope, but also fear. I do not know which path is right." Daniel sat beside her. "Fear is natural, but do not let fear make your choices for you. Look at what we do, not what old stories say." Lyron studied his expression. "And what if the stories are right? What if your power is too great for us to understand?" Daniel did not answer right away. He watched the water move in small waves. "Power is a tool," he said slowly. "It becomes dangerous when it is not controlled by conscience. We try to use ours carefully, but you must decide for yourselves whether to trust us. Trust cannot be forced, it must grow." Lyron appreciated his honesty. She did not fully trust him yet, but she understood him better. Later that week, Mason worked with Wren, the mechanic he had met earlier. They repaired a damaged generator in the hills. As they finished, Wren asked him a question. "Your tools are very strong, Mason. They fix problems in minutes that take us days. How do you keep such power from going to your head?" Mason wiped his hands on a cloth. "Because tools can only fix things. They cannot build trust, and they cannot make people live better unless those people choose to." Wren thought about that for a long time. As the days passed, Olivia spent time studying Aravel's language and songs. She found patterns in the way the people used rhythm to tell history. One afternoon, she joined a gathering where villagers played soft instruments with long strings. They invited her to play. She laughed and tried. Her fingers moved slowly, but she learned quickly. The villagers smiled and clapped. Meanwhile, Daniel met with the elders again. They discussed the growing Vorsk threat. Daniel offered advice on how to strengthen early warning systems. He explained how small sensors could be placed in the upper atmosphere. Jerk listened carefully. Your ideas could help us, but we must build these systems ourselves. We must not depend too much on your technology. Daniel agreed. That is wise. A strong people must stand on their own feet. We only offer a hand, not chains. Lyron felt her worry shift to something quieter. She began to hope that maybe the humans were truly what they claimed to be. But one evening, everything changed. A coded message arrived from a patrol ship of the Concord. The message was broken and full of static. The council strained to hear every word. Vorsk, heavy movement, unknown target, possible strike, close to Aravel, prepare. The message ended abruptly. Fear spread through the hall. If the Vorsk were planning a major attack, Aravel might not survive it. Jerk looked at Lyron. We need allies. We cannot hold them alone. Lyron nodded. She knew what must be done. Sent a message to Daniel asking him to come to the council at once. When Daniel, Olivia, and Mason arrived, the council shared the message. Daniel listened without speaking. His face grew hard and thoughtful. After a moment he said quietly, the Vorsk do not strike without reason. If they are moving in force, they are hunting something or someone. Sel whispered, or us. She looked at the humans. Did you bring this danger to our world? Did the Vorsk follow you here? Daniel shook his head. No. The Vorsk have attacked worlds long before we arrived, but it could be that they see your world as a weak target. Olivia added, we came because we saw your region was at risk. We did not bring the danger, we came to help you face it. The council argued long into the night. Voices rose, emotions sharpened, trust was questioned, hope was tested. In the end, they reached a decision. They would accept help from the humans again, but they would also prepare for the worst. Daniel gave a slow nod. We will stand with you. If the Vorsk come, we will not let them harm your people. Lyron looked at him and saw no pride, only resolve. Then we face the days ahead together, she said. But deep in her heart, she wondered if this alliance would save Aravel, or if it would change it forever. The days after the warning felt heavy, as if the air itself waited for something to happen. People on Aravel worked in their fields and walked through their markets, but they did not move with the same ease as before. Everyone knew the Vorsk might return. Everyone feared what a full attack could mean. The calm that once shaped their daily lives felt thin now, stretched like a thread ready to break. The humans continued to help where they could, but even they walked with more caution. Olivia Grant often looked at the sky as if reading signs no one else could see. Mason Carter fixed broken systems with his usual steady hands, but he spoke less. Daniel Brooks spent long hours speaking with Lyron and the council, planning what they might do if the Vorsk arrived in force. One morning, the sound of warning chimes echoed across the city. They were slow and deep, not sharp like a direct attack signal. This sound meant scouts had seen something far away but moving fast. People ran to their windows. Others gathered in the main square where a large screen showed the outer sensor readings. Lyron arrived soon after, breathing hard. She had been in a meeting with trade leaders when the alarm came. When she reached the hall, Daniel was already there, studying the readings with Jerk. Jerk pointed at the screen. A cluster of objects has appeared in the far ring. They are too distant to see clearly, but their formation matches Vorsk movement. Lyron felt her heart grow tight. How many? Jerk swallowed. More than yesterday, many more. Daniel looked calm, but she saw the tension in his shoulders. We need to prepare, he said quietly. We cannot wait until they are too close. The Vorsk move quickly when they choose to strike. Olivia arrived moments later with Maya, one of the younger human officers. Olivia's voice was soft but steady. We should send scouts, human scouts if you allow it. We can get closer without being detected as easily. Lyron hesitated. Allowing humans to take the lead meant trusting them more deeply than before. But they had already proven their skills. They had already saved the farms. And Aravel needed every advantage. Very well, she said, but you must stay in contact with our sensors. We cannot lose you. Olivia nodded and left with Maya. They boarded a small human craft, one far sleeker than the shuttle that had first landed. This craft was designed for speed. It lifted off silently and shot through the sky like a sharp arrow. People across Aravel watched the streak of light disappear into the upper sky. Even those who feared the humans could not deny the hope that followed that craft. Hours passed slowly. Children stayed close to home. Merchants kept their shops open but watched the sky more than their customers. Workers in the fields moved with unease, looking up between every few steps. Inside the council hall, Lyron paced. Daniel stood still, arms crossed. Mason tapped his fingers on a datapad, though he was not reading anything on it. The room felt too quiet. Finally, the scout craft sent a message. Olivia's voice came through the speaker, calm but tense. "We have reached the outer zone. We see movement, many shapes, hard to count. Their energy signatures are strong. They are not drifting, they are preparing." Lyron's heart dropped. "Preparing for what?" Olivia answered with heavy words. "A strike, a large one. They are moving in a pattern that means attack. We believe they are targeting your world." The room fell silent. Jerk stepped forward. "Can we stop them before they reach the inner rings?" Daniel shook his head. "Not completely. There are too many, but we can slow them, and we can protect your world better if we act before they enter the lower atmosphere." Lyron looked at him. "Will your fleet fight with us again?" Daniel met her eyes without hesitation. "Yes, we will not stand aside, not while lives are in danger." Before she could speak again, the message from Olivia continued. "We are returning. The Vorsk have changed direction. They are accelerating. They know something is here. We need to move." The humans prepared quickly. The Hawthorne fleet lifted into formation above Aravel. The ships looked calm but powerful, like mountains floating in the sky. Their lights pulsed in steady rhythms as if connected by one shared heartbeat. People across the planet watched them rise. Some prayed, some cried, some whispered thanks, others whispered fears. Lyron stepped outside the hall and looked up. She had never seen anything so large and so silent. The human fleet did not roar. It glided as if the sky welcomed it. Inside their camp, Mason checked the shields on the smaller crafts, making small adjustments with tools that glowed faintly. Olivia checked weapons systems with Maya. Daniel reviewed the tactical map with Jerk. Jerk frowned at the map. "You are placing your ships between the Vorsk and our world. That is dangerous." Daniel nodded. "We are used to danger. Your world is not a fortress, but we can act as one." "Why risk yourselves so much?" Jerk asked. Daniel paused. "Because life is fragile, because we have lost worlds before. We do not want others to feel that pain." When the Vorsk came, they did not drift. They arrived in a wave. Their ships were dark and sharp, like knives cutting through black water. They moved in tight patterns, shifting positions too fast for the eye to follow. Their numbers filled the sky. The people of Aravel watched in frozen fear as the Vorsk fleet filled the upper rings. The sky turned dim. The shadows of the Vorsk ships stretched across fields, towns, and lakes. Then the humans moved. The Hawthorne fleet shifted into position. Human ships flew forward in tight arcs, leaving trails of soft blue light. Many people watching had never seen such movement before. It was too smooth, too fast, too exact. All across Aravel, screens flickered as civilian sensors picked up the beginning of the conflict. Daniel's voice came through the council hall's main speaker. "We will try to stop the first wave. Keep your defensive shields ready, protect your cities." Lyron stood in silence. She felt powerless, but she trusted Daniel's calm voice. The first clash happened in a burst of light. Vorsk ships shot beams of unstable energy, wild and sharp. Human ships dodged them with movements that seemed impossible. Olivia led one of the forward units. Her small craft spun around a Vorsk attacker, leaving behind a pulse that disrupted the Vorsk hull. Maya's voice came through the channel. "We disabled one. Another is moving toward the west." Olivia responded. "Stay low, cut its path. I'm coming around." The sky became a dance of light and motion. Every second felt stretched. Aravel watched as the humans fought not like conquerors but like guardians. Some Vorsk ships broke through the first line. They moved toward the lower atmosphere, heading for the farms again. Jerk shouted orders. Aravel's old defense ships rose into the air, though many were slow and lacked strong shields. Before the Vorsk could reach them, Mason and a small team flew in fast crafts to intercept. Mason's craft dipped under a Vorsk beam that would have torn weaker ships apart. He pressed a button on his console that released a sphere of soft light. The sphere expanded and wrapped around the Vorsk craft, slowing its movement. "Got it," Mason yelled. "Someone take the shot." A human ship fired, and the slowed Vorsk craft broke apart harmlessly in the upper air. Olivia's team chased another group of Vorsk ships. She spoke calmly even as her craft spun through clouds. Keep steady. Focus on their leader. They break when their leader breaks. Olivia targeted the lead Vorsk ship and released a concentrated beam. The hit was clean. The Vorsk formation wavered and scattered. Daniel commanded the main line. His ship engaged the largest Vorsk vessel, a massive structure with sharp wings and a pulsing core. The Vorsk ship fired wave after wave of unstable energy. Daniel's voice remained steady. Angle shields to front, prepare pulse number 3. His crew worked quickly. Their ship glowed as the shields absorbed the wild blasts. Then Daniel gave the command, release pulse. A large wave of controlled energy spread out from the human ship. It hit the Vorsk vessel directly. The unstable energy inside the Vorsk hull reacted badly. A burst of white light filled the sky as the Vorsk vessel fell apart in a silent explosion. Cheers broke out across Aravel. But the fight was not over. A group of Vorsk ships slipped under the main human line and headed straight for the capital. Jerk cursed. They got through. Lyron felt her breath freeze. But before the Vorsk could reach the city, Olivia's craft streaked across the sky, moving faster than anything Aravel had ever seen. She cut in front of the Vorsk ships and released a bright shield flare. The flare exploded into a curtain of light that confused the Vorsk sensors. The Vorsk ships fired blindly, missing their target. Human ships came in from behind and drove them away. Daniel's voice came through the channel again. We are pushing them back, hold steady. Minutes felt like hours, but slowly the Vorsk began to retreat. Their movements grew frantic, they broke formation. They sped back into the darkness of space. When the last Vorsk signal vanished from the sensors, the sky finally cleared. The shadows lifted. The air felt lighter again. Across Aravel, people fell to their knees in relief. Some cried. Some shouted the names of the human pilots. Some simply stared at the sky, unable to move. In the council hall, Lyron closed her eyes and let out a long breath. Daniel's voice came through one last time. The threat is gone for now. We will return to the field and prepare for whatever comes next. Lyron whispered, "Thank you, Daniel. Thank all of you." Daniel replied softly, "We stand with you, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as friends." That night Aravel glowed with quiet celebration. People lit small lamps outside their homes. Children ran through the streets shouting that the humans had saved them. But even with the joy, a question remained in many hearts. If the Vorsk returned in even greater numbers, could Aravel survive again? And how much longer would the humans stay to protect them? Far above the world, the human fleet stayed in silent formation, watching, waiting, guarding. The night after the great battle was calm, almost too calm for the people of Aravel. The stars shone with a quiet light, and the fields that had once felt like places of fear now felt open again. But even as peace returned to the sky, no one forgot what had happened. The Vorsk had attacked with great force. The humans had saved them, but everyone knew the danger was not gone for good. Lyron walked through the quiet streets of the capital. Lamps glowed softly at the doors of homes. Some families sat outside, talking in low voices. Some held hands. Others stared at the sky as if expecting the darkness to move again. She made her way to the landing field where the human camp was set. The lights there were brighter. Human engineers moved from one tool to another. They checked ship hulls, repaired panels, and spoke to each other in calm, steady tones. They acted like soldiers still in the middle of a mission, even though the fight was over. Daniel Brooks stood near one of the larger crafts, his hands on his hips as he studied a long scanner. Olivia Grant stood beside him, pointing to something on the display. Mason Carter was under the craft, working on a piece of equipment. Lyron approached them quietly. Daniel noticed her first. "Counselor Lyron, are you all right?" She nodded. "I am, but I came to thank you again, all of you. Without your help, our world would have fallen." Daniel gave a small smile. "We were glad to stand with you." Mason crawled out from under the craft and wiped his hands. "We still have work to do. The Vorsk attack was strong, but it was not a full swarm. That worries me." Lyron tensed. "What do you mean?" Olivia answered. "The Vorsk have many levels of attack. What we saw today was a medium formation. If they decide to strike with full force, even our fleet might face great risk. We do not know how soon they could return." Lyron felt the calm she had tried to hold slipping away. "So the danger is not over." Daniel shook his head gently. No, but danger rarely ends. What matters is how we prepare for it. The council met early the next morning. The hall was filled with voices full of worry and hope. The elders took their seats. Lion spoke first. The humans helped us. They protected our world, but we cannot depend on them forever. We must decide how to strengthen Aravel. We must consider working with the humans more deeply. Some nodded. Others looked uneasy. Jerk stood and spoke. We need better defenses. Our shields are old. Our ships move slowly. The humans have offered to teach us. We should accept. Cell rose next. We must be careful. Learning from them is one thing. Giving them too much influence is another. Their fleet is strong enough to shape our future. We must not become dependent. The room stirred with quiet agreement. Lion looked around. We must walk a path between fear and trust. The humans have shown restraint. They have risked their lives for us, but we will not hand them our world. We will work with them as equals. After long discussion, the council made a decision. They would enter a temporary partnership with the humans. The humans would help repair damaged systems, strengthen defenses, and teach new methods. But Aravel would keep full control over what was built. Daniel accepted the decision with respect. We are not here to take your freedom. We want to build something with you, something strong. The days that followed were filled with work. Human engineers moved across Aravel, repairing shield towers, upgrading defense platforms, and teaching local workers how to operate new tools. They did not replace Aravel's systems. They improved them, using simple pieces that Aravel could build on their own. Mason worked with Ren in the hills again. They repaired generators that had been failing for months. Mason explained everything as he worked. If you understand the base structure, you can fix even a damaged system. Do not depend on one design. Learn to adapt. Ren nodded as he repeated the steps. I didn't think something so old could work this well. Mason laughed. Most things can work well if you care for them. Olivia spent her days with the city defenders. She taught them how to move their smaller ships in patterns that confused attackers. She flew over the plains with young pilots, showing them how to sense danger even before reading the sensors. Jerk watched her with respect. Your flying is very different from ours. You move like you trust the sky. Olivia smiled. Where we come from, the sky is unpredictable. You learn to trust your instincts as much as your machines. Daniel spent many of his days with Lion. They walked through towns and met with leaders. They discussed how Aravel could remain safe in the future. Daniel never pushed ideas onto them. He only offered thoughts. Your world is peaceful, that is your strength, but peace can be protected without becoming hard. It just needs preparation. Lion appreciated his calm insight. She found herself learning much about the humans. They were strong, yes, but their strength was shaped by struggle, not pride. They helped not because they wanted control, but because they knew what loss felt like. But peace rarely lasted. A week after the battle, sensors picked up a strange signal near the outer moons. It was small and faint, but it moved in a pattern that made the council uneasy. Jerk called Daniel to the hall. We found something. It could be nothing, or it could be the start of another attack. Daniel studied the signal. His eyes narrowed. This is not Vorsk. It is something else, maybe a probe or a watcher. Someone is studying you. The room filled with whispers. Lion frowned. From where? Daniel answered slowly. There are many groups in the galaxy. Some wait for weakness, some wait for opportunity. If they saw the Vorsk attack, they might think your world is unprotected. Fear returned to the hall. Cell spoke sharply. If new enemies come, will your fleet stay and protect us again? Daniel looked at her with gentle honesty. We will stay for a time, but we cannot stay forever. We are travelers. We move to where help is needed, but we will not leave until you can stand on your own feet. Lion nodded. She knew this truth already, but hearing it made it real. That night, Lion walked alone by the lake again. The water was quiet. The air was cool. She felt the weight of leadership settle on her like a cloak. How could she protect her world when danger seemed to come from all directions? Daniel appeared again, walking softly. You are troubled, he said. She did not hide it. Yes, I fear what lies beyond our sky. I fear what will come when you leave. Daniel sat beside her. Fear is natural. But fear alone cannot guide a world. You have people who believe in you. You have a world worth fighting for. That is more power than any fleet. She looked at him. But your world taught you that. Ours never had to learn it. Daniel smiled gently. Then it is time to learn, not because of us, because of your future. In the days that followed, Aravel changed more. People trained in new defense methods. Engineers learned to build stronger shields. Pilots flew in new patterns. Children watched the sky not with fear but with wonder. The strange probe near the moon drifted away one morning, leaving no sign of danger. The Vorsk did not return. The sky stayed clear. At last the day came when the humans prepared to leave. People gathered at the landing field in large numbers. Some brought gifts, some brought simple food. Many simply came to see the humans one last time. Mason shook hands with Ren. "Keep those generators running," he said. Ren smiled. "I will." "You have taught me well." Olivia embraced some of the young pilots she had trained. "Fly with courage," she told them. They answered proudly. "We will." Daniel stood with Lion near the base of the main craft. The wind moved softly around them. Lion spoke quietly. "Your presence has changed us. We will not forget you." Daniel replied, "And we will not forget you. You showed us that peace can be strong. You showed us that trust can grow even in fear." She looked at him. "If danger returns, will you come back?" Daniel thought for a moment. "If the stars guide us, yes. And if you call, we will hear, but I believe you will stand strong on your own." The humans boarded their ships. The engines hummed with soft light. As the crafts lifted into the sky, the people of Araval raised their hands in farewell. The fleet rose higher, catching the morning sun. For a moment, they shone like bright silver wings. Then they turned and moved into the deep sky. Araval watched them go with mixed hearts. Some felt sadness, some felt pride, all felt changed. Lion stood alone after the crowd left. She looked at the sky where the humans had disappeared. She whispered softly, "Thank you." Then she turned back toward her city, ready to lead a world that had been afraid of Deathworlders and had instead found guardians and friends. Araval was no longer the same world, and it would never again be a world that prayed for others to stay away. It had learned to stand strong. It had learned to rise.